This is Trucks and Tractor Power, featuring the all-stars of TNT's Monster Truck Challenge. Welcome to Trucks and Tractor Power on the Nashville Network. Today we come to you from one of the oldest racetracks in the country. Hi everybody, I'm Gary Lee alongside Army Armstrong. The Flemington Speedway has been around for 74 years.
And this track is notorious for its world-famous big block modified racing. But these people are going to get to see a racing of a different color tonight, Gary. They get to see the big monster trucks as they make their one-year stop in New Jersey. Plus, they're still going to get to see some of these awesome modifieds, and we're looking forward to seeing some of those guys.
And of course, when we talk about monster trucks, we talk about all the stars of the game. Bigfoot, USA 1, and of course, the popular Grave Digger. It's all coming up next on Trucks and Tractor Power. Not far from Flemington Speedway, where we are tonight for Trucks and Tractor Power, side-by-side monster truck competition. It is dusk here in Flemington, New Jersey. The fast qualifier is Bigfoot. Qualifications now complete. And in first round competition, Bigfoot against Dave Wyzorek in Nightlife. This is a Chevrolet truck that Dave designed, built, painted, and lettered, and also drives. And he goes up against the legendary Bigfoot 8 with Andy Brass. Here's Army.
Well, Andy, each monster truck has its own handling characteristics. Explain the driving style you're going to have to use with the new cantilever suspension number 8.
Well, like you say, the cantilever suspension does make the truck handle a whole lot different. Driving this truck as compared to, say, driving number 4, which I run last year, is like driving all over. You know, this truck, it transfers the weight from the front to the rear. When you first take off the line, the truck it will lift the front wheels off, and the front body will raise almost 2 feet above, where I almost have to look through the floorboard to see where I'm going.
That's almost like a drag racer, what you're explaining to me. When it leaves the starting line, this 12,000-pound vehicle leaves like a drag car?
Yes, it will. This truck, like you say, it will actually lift the front wheels and carry them. You know, I've been doing it depending on what gear I take off in, you know, or what gearing I'm choosing for that track that night. This truck can and is capable of carrying the front wheels anywhere from a foot off the ground for the first 40 feet.
Well, on this circuit, they simply call it foot. And foot in round 1 going against Dave Wyzorek in the Nightlife. And it's all Bigfoot. It's all foot.
That was a quick run. Another terminology they use on the truck, they say that lands like a wet sponge, Gary. It just actually absorbs the impact. When he goes straight, he goes quick. Look at this.
Well, he got the whole shot. He was all Andy Brass, and Bigfoot will advance.
Andy, the truck is making it look easy, but I was watching you in that run, and you are just working your heart out up in there driving this thing. It's going straight, but you're driving it straight, aren't you?
Yes, it is. You know, as you notice, we've had a lot of problems with it driving. You know, we've made some changes today on the truck, and Donnie and I have been working real hard on it. And I think we got the combination back together. It's true that I'm having to work at it, but I don't mind working at it a little bit if it'll stay going straight.
And now we take a look at Scott Stevens out of Woodlands, Texas in King Crunch. We'll be listening to Scott on the in-cab radio momentarily. And there's John Kwasniewski, the Buffalo Tremor.
Gary, one thing interesting about both of these trucks, as far as horsepower go, I would say these are the 2 most powerful horsepower-wise trucks on the circuit. Johnny Cage out of New York, close to home, would love to put the Texan away.
And it is King Crunch, the auto value King Crunch of Scott Stevens.
You win? Yeah, what are you doing there at the finish? I was hanging it out.
Let's go back in the cab, this conversation with Scott and Kevin.
Buddy's playing Joey Chitwood there for a minute. Yeah, it sure felt good, though. How'd the motor do? Was the motor all there? Yeah, turned 6 grand. I was too easy off the start.
Now that should concern the opposition army. When Scott says he was too easy off the start, let's watch again.
Yeah, he looked like he made a real strong run to me. You know, those racing radios give you a whole new dimension to the sport when you go right inside with the driver and crew chief.
Now, if we could just sell a ride alongside the cab. We take a look at the wild hair, Marvin Smith out of Arnold, Missouri.
Marvin rolls up. He goes to the far lane. He goes against the Carolina Crusher, Gary Porter.
A pair of Chevrolets in round 1 competition. Gary Porter, it was so close over that first line of cars, and Gary Porter took the measure in that section, the dirt section between the cars.
Yeah, they call it no man's land between the two jumps. And the trick to this game is you've got to be straight. Notice how straight Porter is. Now all he has to do, boom, throttle up, go to the finish line.
Marvin had to roll out of the throttle because he was not straight.
Exactly. And you got to remember, these aren't sprint cars. These are 13,000-pound vehicles, and it takes time for them to react. Now, speaking of reacting, the red lights again indicate 100% for the Gravedigger. Steve Wilkie has one enemy in this sport. It is the Gravedigger.
Dennis Anderson.
This is definitely a rivalry coming up here for nothing else but bragging rights.
USA won a Chevrolet pickup truck, the Gravedigger, a 1950 Chevy panel wagon.
And the crowd's on their feet. Who takes a win?
Well, it looks like the Gravedigger. Let's wait for the official word. Yes, it is Dennis Anderson, the Gravedigger. Here's a look again. Now watch Steve Wilkie in the USA 1. He starts to bounce right here, and that gives the slightest of advantages to Dennis Anderson. Here he is with Army.
Good run, Dennis.
Dennis, you both came over here saying who won, who won. When you run down into that tube, that is just tough.
Yeah, it is. You know, it was pretty tight. I knew it was a real close race. And like you say, I really don't know who won. That's why we turned around and came back up here. And
this sport is unique in the fact that he can still be in this thing. To let a quick loser come back, that was an awfully good run he made. You may have to go against him later tonight.
yeah, that's true, you know, because I've come back several times a quick loser and won the race, you know, and that's the same with Steve. The truck is running good. I've got my truck running good tonight. If I get up beside him again, I've got a little bit more juice under the hood. I just don't want to tear the truck up, but if I got to push it to the limit, I'll do it.
All right, let's see if a fan has a question for Dennis Anderson.
My question is for Dennis Anderson. How hard is it to control Gravedigger over the jumps?
Good question, Brad. The way I control Gravedigger going over jumps is when I'm in the air, I get out of the throttle. When I tag the ground, I jump back in the throttle. In between the cars, you just try to get the best shots you can going to the last pile. It's the only way you can win.
That's the way all of us drive the interstates here in New Jersey. We're coming back with more. Stay with us. Empty. Nobody is home. Everybody is at the Flemington Speedway for monster truck competition. We are ready for round 2 competition. Now, once again, some of the fast losers from round 1 can advance. Bigfoot, the fast qualifier against King Crunch. Nightlife, a quick loser from the first round, will go against the Carolina Crusher. Also in round 2, another fast loser, USA 1 against No Problem, and Mike Wine's Jersey Outlaw against the Grave Digger. Here's a look at Bigfoot 8, the tube frame truck of Andy Brass out of the Bigfoot stable in St. Louis, Missouri, and the Auto Value King Crunch with Scott Stevens. Army, can you talk to Scott?
Scott Stevens, you played this game a long time, but I know for a fact if there's one guy you like to beat, it's that other blue truck.
Yeah, you know, he's running real good tonight. We beat him 3 races in a row, so, you know, he's running good. He's going to be after us.
Bigfoot, as the fast qualifier, will have lane choice.
Kevin Ford, are you satisfied the truck's 100%?
Yeah, I'm still a little questionable on the motor. I think we might have a fuel pump going away. But hopefully I got it, you know, running so fat right now it'll stay in there. And hopefully we can beat him.
What they're talking about when they say running the motor fat, they're running a whole lot of fuel through it. If he does have a fuel pump going away, he's still going to have enough fuel to make the run. Scott, this is Army. You guys look like you're square dancing out there. Everybody's do-si-doing, but nobody's going to the starting line. What's the holdup?
Yeah, you know, me and Andy, this is where we both like to be. We like to almost melt each other's motors down playing games, but I'll fix the goal line. Just do the best we can.
He's playing with you now.
Well, there you have Kevin Ford getting the thank you from the cockpit by his driver as the Auto Value King Crunch eliminates Bigfoot 8. Here it is again.
Like Kevin Ford said, they fatten the motor up to make horsepower. That's exactly what happened. Foot slows down here right when the Chevrolet's picking up the ground speed.
Well, Foot went off to the right, had to actually tap the brakes to straighten the truck up, and ends up against that inside railing. So King Crunch takes the measure of Bigfoot. He will advance to the Final Four. And here's a look at Dave Wyzorek out of Grand Island, Nebraska, in the truck he calls Nightlife.
Dave's one of the strongest privateers on the circuit. He'll be going up against Gary Porter out of North Carolina in the Carolina Crusher. Both of these guys very, very active in the building, construction, and maintenance of their own vehicles.
Dave Wyzorek got the good start, but it is Gary Porter.
Now, Porter came off that first set straighter. He was able to get more mile-an-hour ground speed to take the win, Gary.
So let's take a look again as Dave Wyzorek to your left actually had the advantage off the first set of cars, but right here,
top end charge puts the yellow Chevrolet into the next round.
Gary Porter advances as we take a look at no problem. John Moore in the Ford Bronco out of Lafayette, Tennessee. He will go up against USA 1. There is Steve Wilkie. A Ford against the Chevy as Wilkie preps inside the cockpit. He goes through a certain routine there, psyching himself up.
Yeah, it's a ritual, man. This guy really gets pumped up to go to the line. Now, he was a loser in the first round. He gets back by virtue of being quick. That's the pressure that usually motivates him. However, John Moore, not going to be psyched out at all. It's going to be an old-time race. Let's see who wins it, Chevrolet or Ford.
Chevrolet with the advantage there, but he loses it right there, and you can see why. He lifted the front end, and he loses to the Ford of John Moore.
That's Moore's wife, Heidi, owner, crew chief, chief bottle washer, whatever, but right now the happiest person in New Jersey.
Well, John Moore had lane selection. He'd been a faster qualifier than Steve Wilkie. Wilkie had the advantage right there, but lost it as the front end starts to wash out. He starts to bounce up in the air, and the Bronco takes the victory. Let's look one more time now as they come off the line. You can see Wilkie bouncing. He's way out of shape right there. Here's your winner.
Congratulations on a run. I know that's one of the big guys that you guys have been going after and gals have been going after this year. It looked good. This could be your night, John.
I don't know. It felt pretty good. I ran the motor a little hard that time.
You're not going to run against. You're not going to run against anybody who's going to run you any harder than that run right there.
Oh, boy, I hope not.
Okay. How about you? What's going through your mind sitting over there? You're the owner, the bookkeeper, and everything else, and the big #1 fan, with the exception of a little girl down in Florida right now.
That's right. When you can beat USA 1, that's a good win. He's a tough truck, and when you can get him, that's a good win.
Well, we're down to 4. You're going to be one of them. We'll see you in the next round.
Good deal. Thank you.
And now let's see if the Gravedigger can make it to the next round. Dennis Anderson, Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina. And if there's such a thing as a home track advantage, it might be Mike Wines this evening, because Mike Wine is driving the Jersey Outlaw, and all these fans are here to cheer for Mike Wine. They stage a Ford against the Chevy. Jersey Outlaw, the Gravedigger, round 2 for a right to go to the Final Four.
Both trucks going to get down and dirty. Whole shot goes to the Outlaw Ford in the far lane five. Gravedigger comes back to take the win. The Red Light Bandit goes to the next round, Gary.
The Jersey Outlaw had the whole shot, but something happened out of no man's land, and the Gravedigger takes the victory. Dennis Anderson will go to the Final Four. Let's look again. Right there, the Jersey Outlaw Ford has the advantage, but through this area right here, the Gravedigger wins it. Dennis Anderson, a popular 1950 panel, will go to the Final Four.
Dennis, we're down to 4 vehicles. Looks like you got John Moore in this next round.
Yeah, I tell you what, old John's been running hard tonight, and when I line up, I just got to try to put him away, because I noticed that Bigfoot's out of it, and I stand a good chance winning here tonight if I can just keep my truck together.
I noticed there's some liquid coming out of the truck. What's that?
It blew a little bit out of the radiator. I think it's just got an air pocket in it. The motor's not really hot. We just burped a little bit of air out of the radiator. It'll be all right.
We'll see you in the Final Four.
All right, thanks.
The most popular driver in truck, Dennis Anderson, the Gravedigger. Here are the Final Four. King Crunch against Carolina Crusher. He has the lane choice. And no problem against Gravedigger, the Gravedigger with the lane choice. There's Gary Porter out of Wadesboro, North Carolina, the yellow Chevrolet Carolina Crusher.
Sitting on the other side of Porter, the Lone Star State blue Chevrolet of Scott Stevens.
Scott, this is Army Armstrong. The winner here goes to the final. Yeah, Army, we were getting a little quicker last pass, but, you know, we sure can't lay down on this. The Carolina Crusher is about the toughest one in the country. I talked to Gary and told him he would probably put you in that lane. He said he didn't think lane choice is going to be that different. He's worried about you. Yeah, we were even quicker than him last race.
Well, Scott's a great sport to take the time to talk to us just before this shootout for the right to go to the championship here at the Flemington Speedway.
We'll have track. They're dead even. You call it.
No, Army, you call it.
Man,
Let's wait for the officials.
Now, there is a finish line camera. Okay, we'll go back and they replay that camera. That's where Kevin Ford is right now, checking with the TNT official.
Boy, if ever we had a photo finish. Coming right at you, a pair of Chevrolets, and it could be the Carolina Crusher.
Okay, where we just came down from the tower, you're going to the final. You made it through. Scott, he got you. They said they had to look at the replay about 3 or 4 times, but awfully close.
Yeah, it was a good race. I knew Gary would be real tough, and at the end there, I knew we were side by side. You know, he's running real good, and you know, you can't take nothing away from anybody right now. There's about 5 trucks running real good, and right now the luck's going with Carolina.
Well, we're going to bounce over to you. Thanks for coming, Kevin. You guys did a good job. Final time again. You've been here. Can you take this one out?
I think I can. Last week, you know, Scott got me in the semifinals. This week I got him. You know, a lot of trucks out here are really very competitive and running a lot of close races, and I'm just thankful I'm where I'm at.
Well, 2 very unique trucks coming up now for the right to meet the Carolina Crusher in the championship. The fans are ready for the shootout between this truck, the Grave Digger with Dennis Anderson, and no problem, John Moore, a Ford against the Chevrolet, as we look at the red headlamps on the Grave Digger, and there's a look at no problem, the Ford Bronco out of Lafayette, Tennessee, with John Moore.
If there's a good lane and a bad lane, Moore's in the bad lane. Anderson's running the same lane he's been running all night long. He's built a nest in the left lane.
He'll win it.
And it works for him.
He was the fast qualifier, so he had lane choice in this matchup. He takes the victory, bumps up against the junk cars,
and will probably take that same lane in the final, Gary.
So it will be Grave Digger and Carolina Crusher for the championship here in Flemington, New Jersey. One more look at the Grave Digger, eliminating no problem. And look at the abuse that suspension takes. A very heavy truck.
Definitely. One thing unique, it stays pat. If he doesn't break, you'll see him in the final. But if he breaks, he goes on the trailer early.
Mr. and Mrs.
John Moore, nothing to be ashamed of tonight.
Well, of course, we saw the jubilation earlier. He's had a good evening. Now, here's what they come out for on a weekly basis here at Flemington, the modifieds. The heavies out here in the great Northeast.
Yeah, the heavy hitters from Yankee country.
I tell you what, I'd like to be strapped in the cockpit of one of those, Army.
Yeah, I'm sitting here grinning from ear to ear myself.
We're coming back for the championship. Stay with us. The waters of a creek may offer some serenity on an afternoon, but not during the evening hours during a monster truck competition here at the Flemington Speedway.
Well, Gary, when it's coming down to 2 guys from the Tar Heel country in North Carolina going to the final. Hey, you ever wonder what it's like to race against the Grave Digger? We've got an on-truck camera. Let's take a look and see what's going to happen. As Gary Porter rolls into the lane, they'll bring the killer box over. That's what's happening right now. We're ready to race in the final in Flemington Speedway.
A pair of Chevrolet nameplates, a pickup truck, and a panel truck. New and old.
One of them has a motor in the front, the yellow truck. One of them has a motor in the back, the Grave Digger.
Dennis Anderson. The left lane, the right lane is Gary Porter. A shot from Gary Porter's Carolina Crusher. It is the Grave Digger. The Grave Digger will win it.
Well, Gary, one of the most popular wins of the year. The Grave Digger is back in black in Flemington, New Jersey, and everybody's on their feet. A real popular win here tonight.
As we look at the replay, Army, it looks as though Dennis Anderson had the margin from the beginning. Watch again.
Yeah, those big, beady red lights look like they moved first. They went straight. They crossed the finish line first. And again, this is a popular one. He needed this. He's had some bad luck. This will get him pumped up for the rest of the season.
Speaking of needing it, he needed all the shutdown area he could muster and then some. One last look at the Grave Digger with Dennis Anderson as he takes the measure of the Carolina Crusher to take the win here in Flemington, New Jersey at the Flemington Speedway. Our congratulations to Dennis Anderson for his victory here this evening. That will wrap it up. For Army Armstrong, I'm Gary Lee. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week on Trucks and Tractor Power. Now, here's news about an exciting video release from Diamond P Sports. It's time to shake, battle, and roll. Call 1-800-453-2800 for 70 minutes of awesome air-grabbing rooster tail spring action from the worlds of monster truck racing, truck and tractor pulling, and mud bogging. Relive the great moments of thrilling side-by-side monster truck racing. Feel the ground shake from the raw power of truck and tractor pulling. And get down and dirty as the best mud racers battle the slime for the fastest time. All this incredible action on one video cassette just by calling 1-800-453-2800. That's 1-800-453-2800. Strap up for a ride on the wild side. It's time to shake, battle, and roll.